Hi everyone, it's Carolyn here for another message for the weekly email that you have subscribed to. And thank you for doing so. And just so you know, also, I always put YouTube links in because it's the most convenient for me, but only those that have this link, those who are on my email subscription list, actually receive this video. So this is especially for you. So anyway, this is the third in a series and the final video regarding how to actually start exploring your intuitive gifts and building a foundation so that you can actually use these on a regular basis. What I have said in the last two videos is that it is a patience process. So again, we're all tested in this lifetime with patience because humans do not have that, I think innately built in. And so consequently, this is a patience process, but these are steps that I have given you over the course of these three videos on how to actually begin building your intuitive gifts. And if you continue to practice these over time, using every single one of these, you're going to be surprised. And of course, adding to it based on what you're learning and feeling inside of yourself, because that's the most important thing, is I've given you a framework to work within, but within your own self, you're going to know what's going to work for you. So add that to these pieces as well. So real briefly, and I'm going to read these so I don't miss them, what we've talked about in the last four as a quick summary, and then I'm going to get to the last two pieces of building your intuitive gifts. But as a summary, the first one, and I'll make more notes below in the commentary, is number one is belief in self. And we talked a lot about how hard that can be for those of us who didn't grow up, which is most of us, in an environment that taught us to hone our intuitive gifts. You know, we're taught that we have just the five senses, but no, this is the sixth one we're talking about. So belief in self. Secondarily, really connecting with the inner core of you, your feelings, the sense of who you are, whether there's dissonance in a choice or decision you're making, being able to connect with that and not just move through life at a blaze of a speed and not connecting with our true sense and feeling. So again, feeling and getting to know yourself and really understanding what that means. So that was number two. Number three is finding peace in your day. So many of us don't do this. We're just spin around like tops all day long. Then we just go to bed, wake up, and we do it all over again. That's not how you get connected to yourself, okay? So finding peace in your day. I gave some good examples of how you can actually do that, either through, if you're a meditator, that's great, but just breath work or just taking a walk out in nature. But again, finding peace in your day. Fourthly, exploring, starting to think about what are my gifts, or what are the ones that stand out, because we all have these gifts, but some stand out more than others, and those might be the ones you want to explore. And you may have had inklings of this over time, signs and messages that have come your way, or things that maybe as a kid you suppressed, and now you're like, I want to explore that again, or just knowings. And if you don't even have those, what is it you'd like to do? So picking that, exploring it, going out online, really kind of seeing what other people do. And again, what I said was it is not a recipe that you make or that is made for you. It's a recipe that you make for yourself, because that's the important part of this process. Ultimately, it's all about intention, and whatever you intend to have to create within yourself, you will create. But again, all those foundational components that I mentioned earlier are a very important part of getting to this. And frankly, I think building that foundation is the most important part for most of us. Now, I will say there are some of us who are just blasted open with a gift that just happens automatically, and somehow we're connected into it. And, you know, this really can happen in the awakening. All of a sudden, your intuitive gifts just are shot off out of the top of your head. But that doesn't happen to most of us. Even mine, where I was really blasted wide awake and then things started to happen, I still had to do all these processes. And I may not have recognized that I was doing some of them until I've sat back and looked at the past and gone, oh, this was an important component to me getting to where I am today, which is a growing distance energy healing and channeling modality. So, and it's a real thing for me. I have started my own business, and as many of you know, well, obviously you know, for the most part, because I channel regularly. And many of you are either able to do that, know how to do that, or will be able exploring that as a gift. So again, this is a patience process, and those are the first 4 pieces that I highly recommend that you work on. Excuse me. So today we're going to talk about taking all of that and putting into place to actually create, because we are creator beings, and what we intend we can create. It's just about those first 4 pieces that I talked about in my estimation. So today, in talking about actually doing this, taking your intuitive gift that you are exploring and really interested in, you feel a passion for, because that's key. What is it you feel a passion for? And sitting down and starting to explore it. So I'm just going to give you my examples, a couple of them, and then yours are going to really manifest or be created in the way that is right for you. But you'll get some learnings from mine. So let's just talk about energy healing. All right, never in a million years would have I expected this. But about, I'm going to say, 7 or 8 months before I ever started to do this formally, distance energy healing, and we're going to set channeling aside for a minute because it's a combination that I do, distance energy healing, I started to get an inkling that something was going on. All right. So as I understood that I was being, I guess I would say that gift was opening up the healing, because I firmly believe everybody can do healing. And, a lot of you might just roll your eyes at that, but it's true. I'm no more special than you. It's just that this is what I have explored, and within good intent created this. And with working with my guides and my angels and my support, have been able to create a modality that is, in my estimation, I think my client's estimation, pretty interesting and amazing. So what I did when I started realizing this and had the opportunity to actually sit in meditation and have an understanding that I was to practice energy healing on myself, I was like, whoa, what? Well, I was presented with, and I'm never ill, I was presented with what was turning into like flu, okay, in my body at one point. And so I thought one day, I'm kind of getting this understanding that, and I was also kind of researching some of this, that maybe this is where I'm headed. So I thought, well, take the clue, Carolyn. So I sat down and I thought, how would I do this? And a lot of this was intuitive for me, and it may not be all that way for all of you, but know that if you just let it flow and let your sense know of where to go with your gift, that's the path to follow. So I got into a quiet space and I thought, let's just get rid of this. So I and without going into great detail on this, but anyway, I realized all of a sudden, wow, I was in my own body. I was visioning myself, and I'm not a great visioner at all, but for my energy healing business, I really am. So go figure, right? And then that was a clue. I thought, oh, wow, if I can see here, then maybe this is telling me something. So I'm a big questioner. I'm an investigator. I like to understand. So I thought, and I like to follow the pathway if it's given to me. So I took that and I ran with it. And I thought, all right, I'm inside my body. I see inside my body. I know where I need to go to make myself feel better. And a lot of that was innate. But my point in that is if you think, well, I don't have anything innate going on, I don't have any feeling of that. Again, those are those foundational pieces I want you to work on too. But if you just have a sense, an idea in your mind of what makes sense for where you would start, go for that. So I just had this feeling that I needed to move into my body in a certain way. I always start in the lower part of the spine, and without going through all the detail of how I do healing, because that's not really relevant for this, I moved up through the spine, and I immediately saw that the spine is where I needed to work, the highway of all, they say, blah, blah, blah. So from there, I got the sense that my hands were to move into my lungs, because I was starting to get congestion. And that's where I started to get the feeling. And again, it was a feeling in me, which is why I want you to focus on getting in tune with your own feelings. I knew I was supposed to work in the lungs. And so they gave me these, or my higher self, angels, guides, gave me the visual of working on the lungs. And I saw where I was congested, and I was able to actually move in through a series of movements, clear that. And so it was that was part of a longer process. But anyway, I went with my gut knowing, and I kind of went, let's just try this. What's the worst thing that can happen? It won't work, right? But because I went with the intent that I had, which was healing myself, the understanding and belief that I could do this, because I worked on that, right? But that this was still an experiment. Again, experiment, explore. And now you're creating, all right? You're creating your process, and you're going to see if it works or what you don't like, what you do like, what other people are doing, and maybe add some of that. I did that. I did the experiment. And what I heard, and then this gets into the channeling part, is you're going to be well the next day. Well, lo and behold, the next day, I was fine. I mean, I woke up literally with no sign of being ill. So this was my first exposure to anything like this at all. And I thought, wow. And I was journaling at the time, which of course I highly recommend, as you know. And I knew from what I had journaled in the past, things were leading up to something pretty interesting. And I knew this was part of that journey. So as I started to experiment more with this, other opportunities were presented my way. And you're going to find this as you connect in with your higher self, your intuitive gifts, going through this awakening, because you're awakening for a reason. You're going to most likely be presented with a series of opportunities to start practicing your gift. Put that out there, talk to your angels, talk to your guides, ask them for that, and you're going to be amazed. And don't go out looking for those things, because they're going to be presented to you. And believe me, if your higher self wants you to know something, you're going to know, all right? For those of you that understand the whole repeating numbers thing and how those just pop out at you, yeah, that's how the other signs and messages happen. So anyway, continuing along the creation vein. So then from there, I was presented with other opportunities, some really significant, particularly one when I was on a trip in Sedona, where actually the lightkeeper showed up to me, but I also had to heal myself with a very severe cactus cut. I won't go into all that detail, but it was a pretty amazing journey of about 4 hours in an overnight sleep that then cleared all of this from me. But again, I was guided within myself. I just felt it. I'm like, well, should I go to the emergency room? Then I felt, wait a minute, you can do this. And I was able to actually take care of what was a very poisonous situation potentially in my leg and remedy it literally again overnight. So I'm not saying that these are pretty extreme examples, I would say, at least for me. I thought they were, and I don't want you to have those super high expectations that that's going to happen immediately. But guess what? It very likely can. I just have not talked to a lot of people about this and, shared stories. So, maybe it will happen immediately, but I'm still stunned that that happened, all right? I don't know why I still am stunned, because I see this happen in my energy healing business regularly, but I think that's the human me going, wow, this is so cool. So, because you're going to have that. You're going to have that situation where when you start seeing results, you start creating your process and things start happening, you're going to go, oh, and it's going to be so exciting, because if you lose that joy and that passion over what you're doing, then, well, you know what? You probably shouldn't do it anymore. I never lose the joy and the passion in this. I always find something new and interesting in all my client sessions, and you're going to find that too when you start practicing this. You're going to find that you're going to go, whoa, how could that have happened? And it's mystical and magical. And then you just keep moving forward and keep building upon that. So what I would say is practice. Okay, so the other part of this creation piece, which is number 5 in our series, is then start practicing on others. Because I took volunteers for a long time before I started anything formally. I spent, and a long time for me was about 3 months, okay, of practicing on friends. I have some friends in this realm that understand this. And that's particularly helpful, people who are on the same wavelength as you. Ask them, tell them what you're doing, because part of this is speaking your truth. Speak about what you're going to do, what you're going to try. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do this, and stand tall. So needless to say, even those in this realm that are in understanding of all of this to a degree, they can still not be the most supportive. Just know that, because there's a little competition there involved, I've found at times. So keep that in mind. But go to people, practice on them, and have them give you honest feedback. And don't get discouraged. Do not get discouraged, because this can happen. I so often thought, oh, I just need to quit. With my YouTube channel, that was another thing. Oh, I should just quit, because I had just a few subscribers. over the course, well, a couple dozen, I would say, over the course of 4 months of working on video. I was doing like 6 videos a week, but I didn't quit because I knew I was supposed to do this. Again, that's not so much an intuitive, well, it is an intuitive, it's using my intuitive gifts and getting it out there. But don't quit, and you're going to get discouraged, trust me. So again, keep practicing, keep creating, take volunteers, and then work it, all right? And then number 6, practice, practice, practice. Actually, number 5 kind of got into that, but you create it first, all right? You create your process, your practice for that gift that you're going to then offer to others. And then you're going to practice. Oh my gosh, is that a tough one? Because guess what? That's putting yourself out there. All along now, you've pretty much been doing this on your own, and now you got to tell people about it if you're going to get volunteers. Well, that's part of this journey, standing in your power, standing in your truth. And you may find that as you practice this, well, you don't want to do this one. This is just not, you're not feeling it because something else is interesting to you. Maybe you work with gems and stones and crystals, and you're finding a process that you can use to assist people through that. There are so many opportunities, not just the ones that I've been talking about. Channeling, as an example. My channeling, and I'll give you some ideas on this, is I just started sitting down and I would ask questions. And I would just, I'm a big meditator, remember, but you're going to be doing some breath work too, so you can sit down and do this. Start asking questions. What do you hear? Well, guess what? Most of us think that we're just hearing ourselves. That just might be your higher self. Again, it'll always come from a place of good. You'll need to know that, all right? But practice that. Listen and hear. Ask questions. Continue to explore this. So practice, 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 and don't give up. And don't wait weeks to do this. Make it a regular part of your journey, of your life. If this is important, you're going to put it at the forefront of what you do every day. It's going to become like brushing your teeth, all right? And it's actually something you're going to really look forward to. So those are the things, very foundational things for you to explore as you are wishing to open up your intuitive gifts that we all have, and that as you awaken during the spiritual awakening journey can just blow your mind with the amazing things that will happen and will change your life forever. So I wish you well on your journey, and I appreciate you listening to these 6 tips on how to open up your psychic gifts. I'll see you in the next video.